Welcome to Backbone Unlimited. My name is Matt Hartsky. In this episode, we're going to talk about the physical side of elk hunting and the conditioning gap that ends a lot of elk seasons before they ever really get started. And I'm not saying this to shame anybody, not at all. I'm saying it because I've seen it too many times. I've been a coach for a very long time, over 30 years, and I've lived enough of it myself to know how real it is. A lot of elk hunters prepare for the hike. They walk more. They might jog some. Maybe they throw a pack on and feel like they're ready. But the mountain demands more than that. Elk hunting tests whether you can climb, recover on the fly, think clearly, control your breathing, carry weight over time and a heavy pack out, handle fatigue, and still execute when the opportunity finally shows up. That's the gap I want to talk about. It's not just being out of shape, it's being underprepared for the exact moment the hunt demands the most from you. If you're not familiar with who I am, I've been hunting and guiding Western big game for over 34 years, and I've been a professional strength conditioning and nutrition coach for more than 30 years, and I'm here to help you become a more successful and consistent elk hunter. So most elk hunters train for the part of elk hunting they can picture ahead of time. They picture the hike. They picture walking uphill, maybe carrying a pack, getting some miles in, maybe jogging a few times a week and trying to get in better shape before season starts. And none of that is wrong. One is greater than zero. Absolutely. You do need to move. You do need an engine. You do need time on your feet. But elk hunting is not just hiking. Elk hunting is climbing, descending, side hilling, stepping over deadfall, moving through uneven country, carrying weight, sometimes serious weight, managing your breathing, staying quiet, staying sharp, and making decisions when your legs are already flooded. That's where the gap starts to show up. Can you climb hard and then calm your breathing down fast enough to shoot well? Can you think clearly when your heart rate is high? Can you recover overnight and come back strong on day 3, 13, 23? Can you pack meat after you already burned everything you had finding the bull? That's the biggest difference between general fitness and hunting capacity. Elk hunting does not reward the hunter who just looks fit in July. It rewards the hunter who can still function when the hunt gets ugly in September. Hiking and jogging can absolutely help. They should be part of the routine, but they don't automatically close the conditioning gap we're going to talk about. Jogging can absolutely build your aerobic base. I do it. It can help your heart, lungs, and general endurance, but jogging on flat ground does not fully prepare your feet, hips, your trunk, your shoulders, and legs to carry a loaded pack through steep broken elk country. Flat hiking gives you time on your feet, and that matters. But that hiking is not the same as climbing under load, side hilling through loose rock, stepping over deadfall constantly, dropping elevation on tired legs, and then having to climb back out. That's why random workouts are not enough either. You can crush yourself in the gym and still not be prepared for the hunt. I've been there. Strength matters, but it has to connect to the way you move in the mountains. Conditioning matters, but it has to prepare you for stop and go effort, hard climbs, recovery, and repeated days. There are 3 missing links for a lot of elk hunters. Specificity. We're going to talk about the law of specificity. Repeatability. Can you do it over and over again? And recovery capacity. How well can you recover from day to day and across multiple days? Your training has to look enough like the demand to transfer. That means you have to be able to repeat it across several days, and you have to recover well enough to keep hunting. A workout can make you tired and still not make you ready. Altitude exposes this truth pretty fast. A hunter can feel pretty good at home, train a little, hike some hills, and believe he's ready. Then he gets into elk country at 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 feet, throws on a pack, starts climbing, and suddenly everything costs more. Your breathing changes, your heart rate climbs faster, your legs load up sooner. Recovery can take a lot longer. A climb that looked reasonable on the map can feel completely different when you're underweight, fighting terrain, and trying to stay quiet. Tell me you haven't been there. And this is where your margin starts to shrink. If you train the right way, altitude still affects you. Absolutely. You still feel it. You still have to pace yourself, but you can manage it. If you train the wrong way or not enough, every mistake gets expensive pretty fast. Moving too quickly, it can cost you more. Overpacking costs more. Chasing bugles emotionally costs more. Dropping too deep without a recovery plan costs more. And trying to pack meat after you already redlined all day can turn into a brutal reality check. Altitude does not create the condition gap, but it certainly reveals it. Hey, if you hunt public land elk and you're tired of grinding through random seasons, I built the elk hunting series of ebooks for you. Most hunters don't struggle because they lack effort. They struggle because they lack a system. And that's exactly why I built the elk hunting ebook series as a complete progressive framework for Western elk hunters who are done guessing and ready to hunt with intention. Volume 1 is going to be Foundations and Reality. I reset your mindset and expose the assumptions that quietly wreck seasons. In Volume 2, Finding Elk and Understanding Pressure, you'll learn how elk actually move under pressure so you can anticipate instead of react. In Volume 3, Terrain, Wind, and Position, I break down how to use landscape and thermals to consistently create opportunities. In Volume 4, Calling, Silence, and Pressure, sound becomes a decision tool, not an impulse. In Volume 5, Bow Hunting Execution, we're talking about close range strategy so you can finish your encounters. And in Volume 6, Late Season and Post Rut, we're talking about how elk shift after the rut and how to adapt when others quit. This is a system built for consistency. This isn't theory, it's a structured system to help you find elk, read country, and make confident decisions every season. Buy each volume individually or bundle them all to save 50% off at backboneunlimited.com. The conditioning gap does not always show up when you're leaving the truck either. It usually shows up when the moment finally comes. Let's say you climbed hard to get above the bull. You played the wind right. You closed the distance. You stayed patient. You finally have an opening, but now your chest is pounding. Your legs are shaking. Your hands are not steady, and your mind is moving too fast. That's where conditioning matters. Not when you're fresh on day one, not when you're talking about pack weight, not when you are walking an easy trail and feeling like money. It matters when the bull is there and your body has to calm down fast enough for you to execute. This is where hunters rush the shot. They forgot to range correctly. Maybe they're in a hypoxic state and they don't have enough blood going to their brain. They struggled to draw cleanly. This can be a huge one, right? Can you put out effort and still draw cleanly, still aim? A lot of guys, they can't settle the pin, or they make poor decisions because exhaustion has taken over their thinking. And sometimes the gap shows up after the failed setup. You need to climb again, adjust again, and keep hunting, but your body's already cooked. The hunt does not care how hard you work to get there if you can't execute when you arrive. Elk hunting fitness is not one thing either. Let's get that pretty clear. It's not just cardio. It's not just strength. It's not just hiking with a pack. It's a system of capacities that you have to work together when you're tired. You need an aerobic base because elk hunting requires hours of movement and the ability to recover between efforts. You need uphill power because steep country exposes hunters who can only move well on flat ground. You need loaded strength endurance because your legs, hips, trunk, and upper back have to handle a pack again and again. You also need downhill control. A lot of elk hunters only think climbing is the hard part, but the long descents under load can absolutely destroy your quads, knees, feet, and ankles if you're not prepared for those. You need trunk stability too, not just abs, but the ability to brace, balance, and stay controlled under a shifting pack in uneven terrain. And above all, you need recovery capacity and execution under fatigue. One heroic day does not make an elk hunter. You have to come back again tomorrow, breathe under pressure, think clearly, and make the shot all when it counts. Elk hunting fitness is really a system, and every weak link here really matters. This is where you need honest standards, not ego tests, too. The first standard I like to think about is the 60-minute engine test. You should be able to move continuously for at least an hour at a controlled pace without feeling destroyed. That tells you whether you have a real aerobic base and enough pacing discipline to avoid blowing yourself up early. And probably the closer you can mimic your hunting conditions, the better. The second is the loaded uphill test. You should be able to climb with a 30 to 45 pound pack for 30 to 45 minutes without redlining the entire time. The third is downhill control. If descending under load wrecks your quads, your knees, your feet, or ankles, the next day of your hunt is already compromised. The fourth is recover and repeat. Elk hunting is not one hard workout. You need to train hard one day and still show that you can function the next. The fifth is shooting under elevated heart rate. You need to know what your breathing, sight picture, and decision-making abilities are and what that feels like after a hard effort. And finally, you need a pack-out reality check. Are you actually ready for the work that begins after the animal is down? It is a big deal to pack an elk out a mile. It is an exponentially harder thing to pack an elk out 3, 4, 5, 6 miles. That should be known well before you get into the field. You owe that to not only yourself, but absolutely to the animal and getting 100% of that usable meat out of the field. Standards are not there to shame you. I'm not talking about any of this to shame anybody. Standards are there to show you what still needs work before the mountain shows you the hard way. You've got to close the conditioning gap with structure. First, I would recommend building the engine. This is your low to moderate intensity aerobic work, right? Your walking, your incline walking, your hiking, your biking, or controlled running all have their place if they fit your body. The goal here is to build the base without beating yourself up every day. Second, you've got to build the chassis. You need strength through your legs, your hips, your posterior chain. That's your trunk and everything up the backside of your body, including your calves, your hamstrings, your glutes, your lower back, your upper back, right? That's what supports the pack, protects your joints, and helps your body handle rough country. Third, I want you to add specificity. This is the law of specificity that a lot of folks miss. This is where you bring in progressive pack work, the incline treadmill, the step mill, underweight with the pack, hill repeats, stairs, step ups, uneven terrain hikes, and controlled descents, that downhill work we talked about. Now your training starts to look more like the hunt. Fourth, add hunt-specific stress. Short bouts of harder effort followed by controlled breathing and shooting practice. Not reckless, not random, but very purposeful. You need to know how your body responds when your heart rate is elevated and a decision matters. It doesn't matter if you can shoot 100 shots a day when you're calm and you're rested and everything is not stressful, right? It makes a big difference if you can run around the block or do some body squats or some burpees and then shoot cleanly the first shot after that under control. Find your pin, settle your pin, make controlled shots. That matters. And finally, you've got to be able to taper before the hunt. This is important. Don't try to earn your fitness just the week before the season. We're talking about all this preparation needs to build now is probably starting to get on the late side. Get after it so that you can taper before the hunt and arrive fresh, sharp, and durable. You don't close the conditioning gap with panic training at the end. You close it with months of consistent, specific preparation. Elk hunting is already really hard. Don't make it harder by pretending that general fitness or just a little bit here and there is the same thing as mountain readiness and being an optimal hunter. You don't need to be an elite athlete to hunt elk well, but you do need to be honest. You do need to know what the mountain demands, and you need to know where your weak links are. And you need to train for the moment, not just the hike. The goal is not to impress anybody with your workouts. The goal is to still be thinking clearly on day 5, day 15, day 25, still moving well after a failed setup, still recovering overnight from day to day, still able to climb when the elk are one ridge further. Keep going, keep hammering, right? Still able to calm your breathing and make a clean decision when the opportunity finally shows up. Your elk season does not end when your legs get tired. It ends when your body can no longer support the decision the hunt requires. Now, if you want an extremely affordable training plan, I have those available at backboneunlimited.com, and I even tweak them for your specific needs after you fill out a questionnaire. If you want to go deeper into elk movement, pressure patterns, terrain positioning, and structured decision making, that's exactly why I built the elk hunting series of ebooks. I have a link to those ebooks in the description. If you want hands-on application and real-time breakdowns, we have an in-person Elk Camp 2026 that is built around all of these same philosophies: structure, preparation, and execution in real terrain. I can get you prepared for elk hunting at Elk Camp 2026, along with my son Saxton from Wildborn Outdoors. We're going to take you through as many scenarios as we can think of. You can check out Elk Camp at backboneunlimited.com. And if you want ongoing access to the Team Backbone community, classroom, my full digital vault of elk resources, private discussions, and direct communication to me for planning, you can join Team Backbone at backboneunlimited.com underneath our membership tab. Everything we talk about here is connected. Preparation is not a single video, it's a system. Thanks for being here. I appreciate all of you. Until next time, train harder, hunt smarter, and never settle.